Okay, so there's a comment I want to address, and this comment is basically because of all these past experiences, I don't speak up now because all these past experiences have led me to this place where I don't think that people want to hear what I have to say, so I don't speak up anymore. And yeah, I want to talk about how that's I want to bring new understanding to that comment, and also kind of irk your ego a little bit here and call it a lazy comment, because it is lazy, and I'll tell you why. It's lazy because, okay, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. You think that you're smart because you're like, oh, well, I tried speaking up in the past, and experience after experience has led me to this point where I know that people don't want to hear what I have to say based on these past experiences. And it's logical, and in your mind, you're right, because you've had all these experiences where you just try to speak up. Here's why it's a lazy comment. Because what do you do when the circle isn't fitting in the block hole? When you're a baby and you have like the little circle thing and you have the block hole, you know what I'm talking about? It's a block hole and you have a circle and it's not fitting in it, or the square. It's not fitting in the square. You try something else. You grab the triangle and then eventually make your way to the square, and the square fits because you're trying to get something to fit in that hole. Or you go to a different hole with that circle and put it in the circle hole. So my question to the commenter, and it's a rhetorical question because in my experience, people that comment things like that normally don't want to change. And this is more for people who are kind of dealing with the same thing but are open-minded to what I'm about to say. So in social situations and when you're speaking your mind, you can try different things. So when you're 18 years old and nobody listens to you, nobody takes you seriously because you don't have any life experience, you might speak up and people automatically don't want to listen because they don't sense a confidence in you and you have nothing to talk about, etc. A year later at 19, maybe you've been at university for a year, maybe you traveled somewhere, you have some experiences to talk about, and you carry yourself in a slightly different way to where people are curious about what you have to say. Now you can think about the content of what you're saying being interesting, but I'm telling you, more so it's getting rid of like the logic of it all and just realizing that when you speak in a certain way, when you've been through a lot of experiences, when you come off confident, people listen to you. I remember the first time when I was in college, I think I was like 22 or 23, it was near the end of college, where I said, hey guys, and I started talking, and everybody just like looked at me like intently, and it freaked me out. And I was like, why is everybody looking at me? And then this girl was like, because you drew our attention. And it was kind of like a wake up thing where I was like, oh wow, I have this ability, because before I was dealing with the same thing as this commenter where like honestly, and I'm going to get into the why is it lazy comment too again. Maybe this person's older, I don't know. I imagine they're younger than me. I just imagine that. I could be wrong. If the commenter sees this, let me know. But man, I had these things in my head too where I thought it was me telling myself, don't speak up. But really what I realized is it was those experiences where people in your past didn't want to listen to what you had to say. But why is that defining your future? That's like me filming this video and looking at like the last 5 videos and not seeing seeing like 10 or 15 views and nobody liked them and nobody commented. But does that mean that this video is going to get no views and no comments? Maybe, but we don't know that. If I try something a little bit different, if I put the camera in a different way, if I stand to where you can see me, if I maybe talk a little bit louder, which right now I'm not talking very loud on purpose, but you try something else, again, Einstein said the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over and over again and expecting the same result. So the comment is lazy, because if you were to go and try a different thing, speaking a different way, holding yourself in a different way, going out and getting experiences, and then trying to talk to people and seeing if they want to listen to what you have to say now, then maybe they would. But what you're doing is you're saying, oh, past experiences led me to believe, because of these experiences, I figured out that people don't want to hear what I have to say. And instead of becoming a different person with different experiences in life, or like experimenting even with your body language and how you say things and how you communicate, you're just sitting there saying, well, past experiences led me to this, blah, blah, blah. And you think you're being smart and logical, but you're being lazy. So that's my case, and that's a little bit of wisdom for you. Take it or leave it.